All right, second graders, here we go for chapter 15 of from Sideways Stories from Wayside School. And this chapter is about Dee Dee. Chapter 15, Dee Dee. This story contains a problem and a solution. Dee Dee was a mousy looking kid. Unlike other children at Wayside School, she liked recess better than spelling. As soon as the recess bell rang, she would jump up from her seat and run out the door. There were big signs on the in Wayside School on every floor. No jumping down the stairs. Dee Dee never noticed the signs. She jumped down the stairs. Some children took the stairs two at a time. Dee Dee took them 10 at a time. That was on the way down. It was funny. She never seemed to be in quite the same hurry on the way back up. There was another sign at Wayside School. No cutting across the grass. Dee Dee must never have seen that one either. She cut across the grass and ran up to Louis, the yard teacher. I want a green ball, Dee Dee said. The green balls were the best. I'm all out of green balls, said Louis. Okay, then I want a red ball, said Dee Dee. The red balls were just about as good as the green balls. They don't bounce as high, but actually sometimes you don't want the ball to bounce too high. I'm all out of red balls too, said Louis. Do you have anything left? Asked Dee Dee. Dee Dee meant anything besides a yellow ball. There was one yellow ball at Wayside School, and Louis was always trying to get rid of it. It didn't bounce, and it never went the way you kicked it. Anything at all? Asked Dee Dee. Today is your lucky day, said Louis. I have one ball left, just for you. The one and only yellow ball. No thanks, said Dee Dee. Oh, come on, take it, said Louis. Why don't you ever have why don't you ever have any green or red balls? Asked Dee Dee. I do, said Louis. But the other children asked first. By the time you get out here, they're all gone. But that's because I have to come all the way from the 30th story. How do you expect me to compete with the other kids from the first or second? She asked. That's why I saved the yellow ball for you, said Louis. Everybody wanted it, but I saved it for you. I bet, said Dee Dee. She took the yellow ball and bounced it on the ground. It stopped dead with a thud. She stepped back, ran up, and kicked it. It went backwards over her head. She didn't bother chasing it. Instead, she played hopscotch with Jenny and Leslie. She thought it was disgusting. The next day, Dee Dee asked Mrs. Jules if she could go to recess early. Why? Asked Mrs. Jules. So I can get the green ball before Louis gives them all away, said Dee Dee. I'm glad you have a good reason, said Mrs. Jules. Yes, you may go. But first, spell Mississippi for me. Spelling was not Dee Dee's best subject. By the time she finally got it right, she was 5 minutes late for recess. She jumped down the stairs, cut across the grass, and ran up to Louis. There were no green balls left. There were no red balls left either. However, there was still a yellow ball. Dee Dee played jump rope with Joy and Mauricia. It was no better than hopscotch. So Dee Dee's problem was to figure out a way to get the green ball, or at least a red ball. You already know that this story also contains a solution. Dee Dee figured it out. If she can see if you can too. Remember everything you know about Dee Dee, Wayside School, and Mrs. Jules. Hint. The next day, Dee Dee brought a cream cheese and jelly sandwich, some nuts, and shredded cheese in her lunchbox. Here's what happened. Just before recess, Dee Dee smeared the cream cheese and jelly all over her face. Then she stuffed her mouth with nuts and hung the shredded cheese from her nose. When she closed her eyes, she looked like a dead rat. Todd was in on the plan. Mrs. Jules, he called, there's a dead rat in the classroom. Mrs. Jules was very put out. I want that dead rat out immediately. When Mrs. Jules said immediately, she meant it. Dee Dee instantly found herself outside on the playground. I want the green ball, she said. Louis pretended that he hadn't heard her. May I please have the green ball? asked Dee Dee. Louis gave her a green ball. I don't know how you did it, Dee Dee, but you're first today, she said. When Mrs. Jules found out that Dee Dee and Todd had tricked her, she sent Todd home early on the kindergarten bus. Poor Todd. He just can't win, can he? Dee Dee threw the green ball on the ground. It bounced 50 feet straight up into the air, then she caught it. You don't like me, do you? She asked Louis. Sure I do, said Louis. No, you don't, said Dee Dee. Yes, I like you, said Louis. No, you don't, Dee Dee insisted. Yes, I like you, I really do, said Louis. Are you sure? Asked Dee Dee. Yes, said Louis. Don't believe me? I guess so, said Dee Dee. Do you like me? Asked Louis. You bet, said Dee Dee. You're my best friend. Terrific, said Louis. I always wanted to be best friends with a dead rat. All right. And tomorrow we will read about DJ. So I'll see you then.